Hello everyone, this is Prussian Prince with another Hearts of Iron 4 Man the Guns. I was gonna say Waking the Tiger guide, but obviously it's Man the Guns now. I'm still stuck in Waking the Tiger days. Anyway, let's take a look at well, what this video is supposed to be about, which is a nice template that mainly Soviet Union could use defensively. That would stand strong against German tanks and also not get pushed by infantry, and would do well against air also. So anyway, let's take a look at it. So I'm not gonna go too heavy on stuff because it would be unrealistic. So I have like an infantry tab, I have up to 1940 techs here. Support companies, I went all the way up to 39, but obviously we're not using all these support companies, but just showing you that it's all up to 39. And the armor tab, so obviously only up to 41 heavy TD and heaviest SPG, which by the way we got them with the proper designers. So we used the Astrov Design Bureau to tech the heavy SPG, so that the heavy SPG is designed by Astrov, because as you can see, the heavy SPG gets reliability and soft attack bonuses from Astrov Design Bureau, which is very good, because that's what heavy SPGs do. They do soft attack. That's why we want to boost it like that. And then with OCMO, we took heavy TD. Did I even... Hang on a second. Okay, very good. So now I can look at the stats. So the heavy TD, we used this so we can buff its armor and hard attack. That's the designer for the heavy TD basically. It's very good because having more armor and more hard attack will allow us to deal with essentially stuff that's piercing us better. But there's gonna be a lot of stuff that'll pierce this anyway. Like we have 47 armor, but still, you know, just in case. But the main thing is the hard attack here. That's what's gonna help us mostly, because normally we'll get pierced with this template anyway. Like, you should expect to get pierced anyway. Now the rest, well, going on to artillery tab, we have up to 1940 AA. Then on the land doctrine tab, again we are mass mob, as I said. We from mass assault all the way to guerrilla warfare. Nothing in air or air doctrine or whatever, you don't need that. Radio is of course useful, and that is basically about it for technology. Now let's look at the actual template, which you saw earlier. So there it is, mass mob 40 with meme. Let's go ahead and explain the logic behind what we're using here. So we are on mass mob, and on mass mob, what is good? Well, infantry, because it buffs infantry a lot. You can put a lot of infantry in a template, and it's very cost effective basically. Now, what would say a big pure infantry template be good at? Or rather, not be good at, but lack. Well, that's simple actually. It would lack armor, it would lack piercing, it would lack soft attack, it would lack hard attack, and AA. So it would get pushed by something like tanks very easily. It could get pushed by infantry potentially also, because it would just be only infantry. And it could get pushed by air. Something like CAS, aka close air support, could push our template. So to counter that, we have 41 heavy TD. We have 3 of those. That gives us a total of 47 armor and 88.6 piercing. By the way, I will show you the variants. I should show you. So this is our heavy TD variant. This only costs us around, basically around 135 XP, so it's not a lot of XP. The heavy SPG variant is also the same, 135 XP, not a lot for this purpose. This is mainly useful in multiplayer, by the way, but you can use it in single player if you want to as well. Like, make some pure defensive template. Because this is basically pure defensive. It doesn't have a lot of break. You shouldn't really push with this. Just use it defensively. Anyway, now that we have the variants, now you can see how we got to these values. The armor and the piercing here. 88.6 piercing will pretty much very well. Will always pierce medium tanks pretty much. Against heavy tanks, you might have issues, like some really weird template might get over your limit, basically, over your piercing. But at that point, it's it would be a pretty crazy heavy tank template. Now the other stuff, we have the heart attack from the heavy TDs, 257. This is why we're also adding heavy TDs. We need some heart attack, just in case we're getting pushed by some mech medium tanks or something like that. It would be bad against what we're doing. And of course, heavy SPGs. Why do we have the heavy SPGs? Well, we don't want to get pushed by superior firepower infantry, like something Romania can make very efficient stuff. You know, 10 with 20 with superior firepower and stack with a lot of artillery rockets in the support companies, because that would be very efficient. Basically the highest soft attack per width you could get is on 10 width, even though it's not very efficient because the template has low HP, so you'll be losing a lot of equipment attacking with it. That's basically how you can push a template like this that would not have heavy SPGs, basically. So this is why we have the heavy SPGs, to do better against infantry, just in case. Yeah, what else here? Well, our org is alright, and our recovery rate is pretty good, considering we are on mass mob. And we have a bunch of infantry here to increase that, which is very nice, by the way. But yeah, we have pretty decent stats overall. But with our armor, again, as I mentioned, we'll probably get pierced. And the combat width here is very important. You don't actually want to be under 40 combat width. Being just a little bit higher is just fine. Because if you're under the combat width, there are some really weird situations in which you will really heavily go over the combat width, and that is going to screw you when you actually are in combat with statistics, right? Because it'll say the battle, the AI in the battle will say, oh, you know, you're under the combat width of the battle, so maybe we should just reinforce with another unit, you know? And suddenly you take massive penalties to all your units in terms of stats. So this is why it's better to go over 40 combat width instead of under, if you get what I mean, because you will avoid such a situation. I mean, yes, sure, you'll take a very small penalty by being slightly over 40 combat width, but in battles and going slightly over the battle combat width, so to speak, because you'll always go slightly over the combat width with this, but it's just insignificant amount, basically. But you will not have the situation where you go heavily over the battle combat width and you get wrecked, because all of the malices that get applied to your unit. Now, what did I go over? I went over why we have the heavy SPG. I went over why we have the heavy TD, but I didn't go over why we have the towed AA. Well, let me go over it now. So, here are the magic numbers for AA. Well, magic numbers specifically. If you have 80 air attack, you will essentially not have issues with speed penalty from not having air superiority. And normally if you make this template, you will not have air, because you spend all of your stuff on this template just to produce it, right? So that is why you want the AA, so you don't get pushed, and it will also help you against gas. I mean, so that you can actually not get encircled, or, you know, deal with or get debuffed too much by the air, right? So that's very important to have the AA in this template. Now that I've explained that, we have more to explain. So, let's take a look at the support companies. We are using engineers to start with, because with this, you just want to sit somewhere and you want to get the best stats possible while entrenching yourself on positions with this. Which is why engineers are excellent. As you can see, they give you a whole bunch of stats here, lots of defense, and obviously it will increase the entrenchment, max entrenchment of our division, which is very useful. Now, there's other stuff that we can talk about here, which is logistics company. Why do we have logistics company in this template? Well, it's simple. You might have supply issues later on when using this, because if we remove the logistics, which by the way we only teched up to 39, Where's the logistics? Yeah, there it is. Only 39, not 42. As I mentioned before. If you don't have the logistics, this does tend to use quite a bit of supply, 3.5. You might end up not being able to put a lot of divisions on the front line, which could be a bad thing on the Eastern Front. Like, you want to man the front line properly. Now, as in another country, you would also be adding signal, but since we are the Soviet Union, and since we are on mass mob, by the way, this helps a lot, because we have the human wave offensive here, which gives plus 15% reinforce rate on top of, say, the infantry offensive, which gives plus 5%, and the mass assault here, which gives 2%. So we get a bunch of reinforce rate from our doctrine, which is why we don't need signal. Signal would increase our reinforce rate, among other things, which is why, if you're not a mass mob, it's good to have signal on 40 with units. But doesn't matter here because we're on mass mob, so we won't have issues reinforcing, at least in pretty much 99.9% of situations. So that's basically the explanation as to why this template is good and why I really like it when as a defensive template, basically, because this is good against enemy air, this is good against enemy tanks, and this is good against enemy infantry. Basically, it doesn't do a super fantastic job at anything, but it's super cost efficient, as you can see here, based on the estimated production cost. It's a cheap division, but it will hold its ground very well. It will deal with air, it will deal with infantry, and it will deal with tanks efficiently, as I mentioned it. So that is why I love this division in vanilla. Again, in mods, which, I don't know, change equipment, change doctrines, change generals, and you know, so on and so forth. This might not be good, but for a vanilla division, this is very good, and I recommend people who go for nowhere to use this template. I think it's very good. Test it out yourself in multiplayer specifically. In single player, it's gonna have no issues against the AI if you want to build this. So yeah, I do hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. See you all next time.